Welcome to the replay. It's your girl Walona. How are you doing tonight? I'm back once again. Got some more good information for you guys. So welcome in. Welcome to my world. I'm so excited to have you. If you don't know who I am, my name is Walona. And I give advice, tips, and information on narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, toxic relationships, emotional abuse, and a multitude of other things. Today we're talking about boundaries. If you will, please share this broadcast for me. Share this broadcast. Welcome in. We're talking about boundaries. You need to get you some boundaries. If you don't already have some, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Share this broadcast for me, if you will, with your followers. I surely do appreciate it when you guys do that. So today we're talking about boundaries, and I won't be too long today. This won't take too long. It's not that painful, I promise. So we'll just go ahead and get right into it. So when we talk about boundaries, I guess the definition of a boundary is basically a line. It's where you draw a line. It's a limit. It's a line you draw around something so that people don't cross it. So, me being from the city of Chicago, I don't know where y'all are from. Y'all tell me where you're from. You can type in the box where you're from. I see a lot of caution, the yellow caution lines. Okay? And those lines are put into place whenever there is a crime that has happened of some sort. So you'll find that the police put around the caution line. And that is a boundary that people can't cross. Or it's a boundary that only certain people can cross. Okay? You are not allowed to cross that. So that's basically what a boundary is. It's just a line that you draw against what you allow people to cross. All right. So if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, or you've ever been in a relationship with a narcissist, chances are you don't have healthy boundaries. Okay. Trust me, I know this. You might have had them at one point, but they've been involuntarily altered. If you've been in a relationship with a toxic person, because guess what? They push your boundaries. They push them. Okay. People that are toxic, they're known to push your boundaries. I mean, people that are not toxic push your boundaries, especially if you have children. Okay. They are the originators. They are the original boundary testers. Okay. But like I said, people that are not toxic push your boundaries. It's up to you to correct it. Okay? Narcissists love drama. They love drama. They love chaos. And they might push your boundaries out of sheer boredom. But most importantly, they don't have any boundaries of their own. They don't have any boundaries. So they're really not going to respect yours. Can we establish that? Narcissists and toxic people do not have boundaries. So they in turn will not respect your boundaries. Okay, we've got that established. So when you tell a toxic person no, or that they can't do something, they perceive it as rejection. Flat out. They take it as rejection. They don't like to be told no. And when they can't do what they want to do, they equate it to you don't love them, or you don't care about them, or that you're being mean to them. You're being a meanie because you're not letting them do what they want to do. You're not letting them cross those boundaries. They don't like to be told no. Whether they show it or not, sometimes they'll go into what's called a narcissistic rage, okay? Which is an equivalent to an adult temper tantrum, okay? They flat out throw tantrums. And when they can't get their way, they act out. That's pretty much all to it. They act out. And if you're dealing with a covert narcissist like I was, it may be a silent rage. So you won't get the outright kicking and screaming outwardly, but just know that they are going to punish you for the rejection that they feel, whether it's intentional or not. Mind you, now, they have the emotional capacity of a child. They have an emotional capacity of a toddler. And that's why they act out the way they do in this tantrum, in this rage. But it's important that you do not downplay it. Do not downplay the fact that it's equivalent, that I'm equating it to a temper tantrum, because unlike children, they can become very, very dangerous and very, very harmful to you in these rants and these acts of rage. So don't downplay it. I compare it to that of a child, but don't downplay it to that of a child, because they can really act out and hurt somebody. So when a narcissist, when you tell a narcissist or a toxic person no, it's not just you telling them no. It's like you're saying to them, no, you're not worthy. It's like you're saying you're a fraud. It's like you're saying, no, you're not deserving. That's how they are perceiving your no. It's that sense of entitlement. You know, they feel entitled to do what they want, when they want, how they want, whenever they want. They feel entitled to do it. So whenever you tell them no, it's like a shot to the heart. It's like that India Arie song. One shot to your heart without breaking your skin. They take it personal. Here's why. Here's why they take it personal. It all goes back to the origin of everything. Always directs back to the origin of the core of a narcissist. Narcissists have an extremely negative self-image, and they have very, very, very poor self-worth, right? The fake self that they created is really super puffed up, but it's super fragile. It's super fragile, especially because they know it's fake. But they don't want you to know it's fake, or they hope that you don't know that it's fake. Because that fragmented, ugly, unlovable, distorted person that they're hiding, they don't want it to be exposed. So they would consider that a death. They take that very, very seriously. They're highly sensitive to that. And they are petrified of being exposed. Petrified of being exposed, because that will bring, that's why they protect that image so hard the way they do, because they're afraid to be exposed, because that they wouldn't be able to take the shame that comes with that. They deal with a lot of shame, and they wouldn't be able to take it. So they overreact. They overreact with rage, because this is life-threatening for them. Okay? That's where that rage comes from. So the real reason that you probably connected with a person like this, the real reason that you've connected with a narcissist or a toxic person, is because, you didn't have any boundaries. And that was perfect for them, because they don't have any boundaries either. So what happened is, because what's happening is you both became enmeshed with each other. You became enmeshed with one another. And that's what enmeshment is. Enmeshment is basically where there's no line from one person to another. There's no line drawn from one person to another. You don't know where one person ends and the next one begins. And there's nothing to differentiate you. If you go back, I did do a scope on enmeshment. and that talks about that in a lot more detail. But it's basically where you don't know where one person ends and the next one begins, because there's just no boundaries there. Okay? Narcissists, they don't just target empaths, though. That's something that we just really have to remember, because we think that toxic people just target empaths and codependents, but they don't. Narcissists really kind of try everybody. They'll try anybody. But they don't always affect everybody. You know, certain people that they come around, they're not going to take that stuff. They'll be like, I'm out of here. They'll cut them off, whatever. Those people had boundaries. Okay? But yeah, they'll try anybody. It's just certain people that they can get so far with. So narcissists are always going to push boundaries, because it's just a part of the nature of that personality disorder. It's a part of the nature of who they are, because they think that they're supposed to get their way. All right, they're interested in people who are going to make excuses for them. They're looking for people who are going to let things slide. So if you just let the smallest of things slide, if you keep on making those small compromises, and they're going to keep pushing you. As far back as you keep drawing that line, it may be a little bit at first, and that's where you don't catch it, because you'll be in a relationship with a narcissist for a very long time, like I was, and it's because things aren't subtle. I mean, things aren't big. They aren't, you can't see the big picture, because they're going little by little. It's one compromise at a time, one little step. They push you back. They keep pushing you back. And next thing you know, you all the way over here. You started way over here, and you're like, how did I end up over here? It's because it was these little compromises that you kept taking to get you to the other side. Okay? So now let's talk about you. We've talked about the narcissist and why they push boundaries, why they cross boundaries, the fact that they are going to do it. It's in their nature. It's just something that they're going to do. Now let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. You might not even know what your boundaries are. I know that because I didn't even know what my boundaries were, obviously, because I would have never gotten in that type of relationship if I did, right? So if you're an empath or a people pleaser, you most likely care about what people think. You might just kind of do what people expect of you. If that's you, you need help with your boundaries. You need help. And you may have never even heard this put in perspective before, but it's very well needed. And I also want to say too, don't be afraid to put boundaries in place because of the fear of losing people, because enforcing boundaries can give you anxiety. I know a lot of people that they don't like to enforce boundaries because they fear conflict. And anxiety comes over them because they fear conflict. So they kind of cower and say, well, it wasn't really that big of a deal. I'm going to just leave it alone. Or, it's cool. It's okay. I'll just take the L, or I'll say something next time. When you make those little compromises, it really just affects you, because this is the thing. You're going to have the anxiety if you confront them, and you're going to have the anxiety if you don't confront them. The result of having the anxiety and confronting them is the result of that is you're going to feel better. You're going to feel like, oh, I'm glad I said something. The result of having the anxiety and not saying anything is going to have an end result of you feel a burden of guilt that you didn't say anything, and then you're going to feel disrespected. So the anxiety is going to exist no matter what. So it's better to just go along this path and address it so that you can feel better that you got it off your chest, as opposed to taking the avenue of this anxiety and you're still dealing with frustrated feelings and feeling disrespected because you didn't address it. Okay? All right. Boundaries help promote self-love. Okay? It helps promote high self-esteem, and it helps promote your self-worth without you feeling guilty. All right? You'll notice when people have healthy boundaries, it's because they love themselves. They have high confidence in themselves, and they don't let people walk all over them. And people that don't have boundaries, they don't know their self-worth, and they don't have high confidence. But if you're that person and you can change that. You can get there. So, how do you know if your boundaries have been crossed? How do you know if your boundaries have been crossed? Because first of all, if you don't have any boundaries, you don't really know what they are. Okay? What does poor boundaries look like? All right, let's talk about this. If certain relationships make you feel drained and exhausted and disrespected, you need to re-examine your boundaries, or put some in place. If you don't have any, you need to put some in place. Now let's put this in perspective. Ask yourself these questions. This is how you set yourself to create boundaries for yourself. Ask yourself, what are your standards? What is acceptable? What is unacceptable to you? Who are you? Who are you as a person? What are your core values? What do you believe in? Right? What's important to you? Does it annoy you if somebody asks you about your finances? For me, it does. That's a boundary. I don't like when people ask me about my finances. I don't like when people ask me, how much do you pay for your mortgage? How much money do you make? If I don't willingly give you the information voluntarily, please do not ask me that. And I'll tell somebody that, because I've had people ask me before. I've had coworkers ask me, how much is your mortgage? And I'll tell them, I don't discuss that with people. Boundary. Now, that person may get upset with me. They may not want to talk to me no more. They may not want to be my friend anymore. Well, we were never friends if we were just co-workers anyway, but they may not want to talk to me anymore. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. It still stands that I don't discuss my finances with people. Period. That's a boundary of mine. Okay? It might be okay with you though. I don't know. But it's not okay for me. Do you mind people calling you all hours of the night? Or do you not like that? That's something to weigh. Do you like when people show up to your house unannounced? I don't. I think you should probably call me if you are going to come and visit me. That would be courteous, so that I can prepare for you when you get to my home. If I tell you that I don't like people to show up to my house unannounced, and you show up to my house unannounced, then you're going to be standing outside, because I've already told you that I don't like that. So those are just some questions that you ask yourself to start setting your boundaries. What do you allow? What won't you allow? Do you make a habit of letting people borrow money, and then you regret it later? Or do you have a limit on who you let borrow money? Do you only let close friends and family borrow money? Or do you not let family borrow money at all, because there's always a thing with family? Those are just some questions to kind of ask yourself. It can be something simple as, Okay, good example for me. It can be something as simple as this. I don't accept coworkers on social media. And I have gotten several requests from coworkers to be my friend on social media, Facebook to be exact. And time will go on, and then they'll ask me, "Hey, I asked you to be my friend on social media and you didn't accept me." I'll say, "Oh, okay, yeah. I don't accept friend requests from my coworkers." Again, they may get mad. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I don't accept coworkers to be my friends on social media. They may choose not to talk to me anymore. I don't. And they may respect it and still choose to talk to me. That either way is great. Either way is great. But that is a boundary for me. So basically, what are you comfortable with? What are you comfortable with? What are you not comfortable with? Okay. So once you've established what you allow, what you won't allow, what you accept, what you don't accept, yada, 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 etc. Now that you've established that, you need to figure out what you're going to do if somebody oversteps your boundaries. What are you going to do? What is the consequences when somebody oversteps your boundaries? You may want to remind them because maybe they forgot. Maybe they didn't think about it. Maybe they didn't think you were serious about it. And they're trying to see how far they can go. But you may want to just give them a hint, give them a reminder. Hey, you remember when I told you I don't like this. I don't like when people do this. So this can be a pivotal moment in a relationship. This can be a turning point in a relationship because the person may get upset. The person may get upset and they may not want to be your friend anymore. And they may be okay with it and they may say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot," and then not do it again. So you might want to give a person a chance, but if they continue to do it, you might have to take action. So you might have to remove yourself from them. You have to enforce the consequences, whatever those consequences are. It may be distancing yourself. It may be cutting off the relationship. I don't know what the consequences will be for you, but you're going to need to enforce those consequences, and you're going to need to be consistent with enforcing it, because if you're not, then they won't take you serious, and then they're going to keep trying you again. So you're going to have to make some decisions, and you're going to have to be prepared to lose people if they continue to cross those boundaries. Maybe in some situations, you come to a point where that relationship probably needed to come to an end anyway. If a person is constantly doing things that you specifically told them not to do, that is giving me a big indication that you don't respect me, and you're not regarding what I'm telling you that I like and don't like. So that may be a pivotal moment in a relationship with a person if they are just continuously crossing your boundaries, and that puts you in a situation to where you are going to need to enforce that and maybe cut off that relationship. And it may not be that you don't love that person or care about them or whatever, but some people are only in your life for a season anyway. And you have to be able to accept that. You have to be able to accept, if this person does not respect me, then I can't allow them to be in my life anymore. Period. And it's okay. It's okay if people don't respect your boundaries. That's okay. But it's also okay for me to tell them, well, it was nice knowing you. And then you're just not going to be in each other's lives anymore. So that's a decision that you have to make on how far you allow people to go with you. And you have to accept people for who they are. You have to accept people for who they are. And you can do it at a distance. You can do it at a distance. You can love people from afar. And I believe that when that happens, and you're at the point to where you have to cut somebody off, unfortunately, I believe that it opens up a space for the right people to come into your life when you free up that space. You know, because you'll meet people who, when you tell them what your boundaries are, they respect it. And they follow those guidelines and they don't disrespect you. And then that's where beautiful relationships begin, because you respect each other. So that's what I believe. And I just want to say too, don't compromise on what's important to you. Do not compromise, and stop making excuses for people. You know, when people do things that they're not supposed to be doing, or doing things that you specifically told them not to do or asked them not to do, don't make excuses for them and say, well, they're doing this because they're stressed, or they're doing this because they are going through a lot. No. You don't let them get away with it. And don't tell yourself that, well, maybe my standards are too high. Never tell yourself that. You like what you like, and you don't like what you don't like, for a reason. And you have the right to voice that. And you have a right to tell people around you how to treat you. Period. So that's all I had to say. Is that if you don't have any boundaries, get you some. Get you some boundaries. Find out who you are. Find out what you like. If you need to sit down and write out a list of categories here. Things you like, things you don't like. Once you establish that, you put that into place. And make people meet you where you are. Make people meet you where you are. The ones who can't, they'll fall off. And the ones who can, they'll respect your boundaries. Okay? So that's all I have to say. See you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for watching. Make sure you share this broadcast and follow me on Instagram at WJP and Company, AND, WJP and Company. See you next time. Bye.